How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Smoke Sermon Barbecue. I'm Mike Conway. I am your pitmaster today, and we got something pretty cool going down. We are actually going to go ahead and do a battle of a couple more smokers back here that I have. I got my RecTeq BFG 2500. It's an absolute beast. And I have my 120-gallon offset custom-built reverse flow smoker that we are going to be running pecan on both. I'm excited for this. We have two incredible briskets, well marbled. These are actually choice briskets from Sam Club, choice Angus, but the marbling on them is incredible on both. And we're going to do a quick trim on these, a little backyard trim, nothing crazy, nothing special. These are very similar in size. One of them is a little bit about a pound heavier, so I am going to trim just slightly more aggressive on that one because I really want these to be pretty close to even as far as size is concerned once they go on the pit. So let's go ahead and get these bad boys trimmed up and so we can get ready to go on. All right, let's go ahead, get this cryovac opened up. Try to do it without making too much of a mess. All right, when it comes to trimming, I used to always use like a chef knife or even a fillet knife or a boning knife like this. And then I watched a video by Bar Barbecue and they showed me how they use this slicer knife here, and holy cow, is it a whole lot easier in my opinion to trim a brisket using one of these. So that's exactly what we're gonna do here. And again, this is just a backyard trim. We're not gonna be overly aggressive with this at all. Sometimes I have a tendency, even when I'm not trying, to get a little aggressive. So I'm gonna try not to do that today. I get caught up in pretty brisket trims and rounding out these corners, making it nice and even. Also a cold brisket, which put it in the freezer for a couple minutes, but not long enough. So it's semi-cold, but not as cold as I typically like these to be. Come in here, just kind of angle this right here a little bit more. This top fat, I know a lot of people will tell you to take that silver skin off. I take some of it off. I definitely don't get aggressive with this soft fat. I'm more concerned with the hard fat than I am with the soft fat. Which is again why I like using this slicer knife. So much easier to make nice clean lines, clean strokes. Pretty thick fat seam running through, separating the point. You can see that right here. It's pretty thick fat seam running through there, and then comes up right into here. And that's what separates those two. The reason that we cut the sides like this is because we can see just how fat that fat side of the brisket is, so that when we flip it over and get into that side, we'll have a good idea as to how much we need to take off. I have to stop looking at it because I will pick this thing to death and end up turning it into more of a comp style trim than anything. So this is that mohawk. So we're gonna come in here because we really want this brisket to sit. If we expose some of that meat, that's okay because there's a lot of intermuscular fat going on in there. Still gonna keep it juicy and still keep it moist. So we're just gonna take our knife, make even cuts. And if you're looking at this going, man, he's taking off a lot, I will render this fat down to make tallow. And all of this meat that I trim off is all gonna be used to make some pretty amazing burgers. Pretty happy with the amount of fat that's on that right now. I like it. So we're gonna get this one set aside so we can get the other one trimmed up. yellow mustard as our binder. As far as seasonings are concerned today, I have my own brisket seasoning that I make. I call it my Blackout brisket grind. I can put a link to the description down below, so that way if you guys want to make it or give it a shot, go for it. I love it. It's always a crowd pleaser anytime I use this. We are going to go on the pit with these, fat side up, meat side down. So we are going to grab our ThermoWorks right in the thickest part of that flat. I like to monitor the flat more than anything. Got that in there. Let's go check our pit and make sure it's good to go on. Got our next brisket here. We got our smoke box fired up with our tumbleweeds. So that's what you see right there. We got our firebox going to the right side of it. And we're just gonna go ahead and let this go for just a little bit and then get this all closed up. That pecan wood is starting to catch. We're gonna go ahead and get our door shut. Don't want this thing to burn too hot. We want to keep it super low for the first couple hours. All right, we got our brisket ready to go on. Put it right here. All right, guys, so it's been about 2.5 hours since we put these briskets on. We're gonna go ahead and take a look, give them a check, probably give them a spritz at the same time here. Looking pretty good. Our smoke box is still running strong, putting out some good smoke with that, those pecan chunks. Color's already starting to develop. I'm gonna give it just a little bit of spritz, especially towards the bottom here. Let it go for a few more hours. All right, now it's time to take a look at the brisket on the reverse flow. Also looking really good. We got some pulling up right there, so we'll just go ahead and tilt that over. Give her just a little bit of a spritz as well. Not much on that one. She's definitely more wet than the other one is. All right, guys, this brisket has been on for just a little bit under 8 hours. It's about 3:30 in the morning now. We're gonna go ahead and check this brisket real quick. Our pit's running a little bit hotter. Looking good though, a little bit of pulling on top there, and get it back on. All right, now let's take a look at the brisket on the RecTeq. Same thing on this brisket, a little bit of pulling on top there, but looking really good. Nothing's looking too crunchy or too hard on the bark. Bark's actually looking great. So at this point, we're gonna shut it down. Both of these briskets are right at about 175 degrees internal. And we're gonna probably let these go until about the 180, maybe even 185 mark before we go ahead and get them foil boated. We'll go ahead and just let them keep going until we get to that point. All right, guys, so the internal temp of our brisket on the reverse flow offset just hit about 182. Bark looks good. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna go ahead and get it wrapped up in a foil boat. Before we do that, I'm gonna take a little bit of this brisket moth and put it down. I got a little tray underneath and just keep it from going everywhere. A little bit of that down there. I'm gonna set our brisket right on top of that. There we go. when you're foil boating, you really want to roll to the outside like this. Gives you some nice handles if you need it for carrying, but also when it comes time to unwrap this, it's easy for those liquids to drain out, so you can dump them back onto that brisket. She looks good like that. We're gonna go ahead and get her back on the pit. All right, our RecTeq BFG 2500 brisket just hit an internal temp of 180 degrees. So now it's time to go ahead and get that one wrapped up as well. Both of these briskets, surprisingly, are extremely close to each other. Like within a few degrees the entire cook. All right, let me go grab that brisket off the pit real quick. That one looks pretty good. Nice and tight. What's up, guys? Good morning. It is about 6:30 in the morning. These briskets have been on for about 10.5 hours now. I did not sleep. I stayed up all night managing this fire, and I think we're at the finish line. We're gonna double check them right now just to make sure we're good and probe tender where we need to be. And then we're gonna take these foil boated briskets off. We're gonna wrap them completely in foil, and then we're gonna drop them in my oven or my warming oven for well until dinner time. We'll let it sit at 150 degrees in there and rest for probably about 8 to 9 hours. The dinner's not until about 4 or 5 tonight. So let's go ahead and check out this brisket, see what it looks like, see if it's probe tender, see if she's ready to get wrapped up and put into the warmer. Trusty Thermapen here. Oh, that's like butter. 206. 208. Oh, that flat's tender at 209. Just a little snug, very, very little snug right there, and it's tepid. 201, 202, 204, 205. That's okay though. We're gonna let her have a long rest. That'll soften up. It is just a little bit more resistance than I like, but it's pretty much probe tender all the way through. So now it's time to go ahead and finish getting this wrapped up. All right, our RecTeq brisket is also showing that it should be done based on the RFX probe that we have in there. So now we're gonna open it up, check it with our Thermapen once again in this brisket, make sure it's good and tender. 207, 202, 208. Say she's good and done. Time to get this one off and get it wrapped. All right, guys, we got our master built electric smoker here. It's set to 150 degrees. These things are awesome for holding briskets. Depending on the size of the briskets, I can get 6, 7 briskets in here pretty easy. I use this for holding briskets all the time. Maintains temp extremely well. So I got it already preheated there. Like a glove. These briskets will sit in here and rest until we're ready for them at dinner time, which probably is going to be in about 9 hours. All right, guys, so we got our briskets in the warmer. They're resting. They're going to rest till dinner time, where we're going to get them sliced into. We're going to serve them up to a few people on a blind taste test, and we're going to see which one of these briskets produced not just the smokier flavor, but also the better flavor. So we will definitely dive into that tonight and see what that's all about. So stay tuned. Both of these pits did incredibly well, like expected. The offset did extremely well. The RecTeq always does a phenomenal job. I think what I'm most impressed with out of this cook is these briskets were neck and neck the entire time. I mean, from the time that they started, they went on within 5, maybe 10 minutes of each other. and they literally came off the pits within 5 to 10 minutes of each other after 10.5 hours. So that's crazy to have them be that close together, especially when we're running two very different types of pits here. Obviously, the RecTeq maintained its temp very steady throughout the night. I was managing the fire on the offset. A couple of times it got as low as 220 degrees, and a couple of times it even got as high as 280, 285. Definitely some more temp swings on the offset than we had in the RecTeq, but these things were neck and neck, got finished within 10 minutes of each other. We're gonna see which one of these everybody prefers and which one has the smokier flavor. The RecTeq with the added smoke box running pecan wood chunks, or the tried and true stick burner running true pecan logs. So we'll see, stay tuned. Slice into them, see how we did. Brisket A, taste test, let's see. So this is gonna be brisket A, brisket B. A versus B, which one did you think was smokier?
I thought B.
B.
You thought this one was smokier?
Yeah.
Yeah, B was definitely smokier.
So we have 3 smokier on brisket A, 2 smokier on brisket B.
Yeah.
But who thought brisket A had more flavor?
And B.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
B was more tender for both leaner and the fatty was both of them. This one, the fatty was tender, but that was not as tender as that in the leaner.
Now it's on me to try because I see what you guys are talking about. So this is brisket A. Brisket A. I'm sorry, brisket B. Yeah, and both briskets were trimmed identical. Seasoning was identical. This is a homemade seasoning that I made. Even the smoke flavor on both briskets were the same. So this is offset smoker stick burner, RecTeq BFG 2500. Visually, the offset wins, in my opinion, with the nice smoke ring that it has.
Big time.
I do feel the point is more tender on the offset brisket. The flat on the RecTeq seemed like it was a little bit more tender. I think the winner, based on numbers for votes, actually I don't remember.
Yeah, the RecTeq.
The RecTeq came out with more votes. I probably would go with brisket A. All right, guys, so we just wrapped up this cook and the blind taste test with our guest that we had over. And let me just say, both of these briskets turned out phenomenal. They were juicy, they were tender, they were flavorful. The bark was great on both of them. They both came off the pits within 10 minutes of each other, which was nuts. They both took right at about, one took right at 10.5 hours to finish, and the other one took 10 hours and 40 minutes. So that was surprising to me at how consistent both of these were. I did try to maintain temps at 250 degrees on both pits, but obviously, as you can imagine, I set it and forget it on the RecTeq at 250 degrees on my offset pit. I had to feed those sticks to it in order to keep that that temp maintained, and we did drop down to 220 sometimes and went even as high as 280, 285 sometimes, but tried to maintain that average temp of about 250 degrees on the offset. We had 6 people taste testing, and we had 3 people that felt the RecTeq produced more smoke flavor, and then we had 3 people that felt that the offset brisket produced more smoke flavor. But this is what I know for certain. They both were incredible. My personal opinion thought the offset was slightly more smoky, but I am absolutely blown away at how well that RecTeq was able to compete with a real true stick burner pit with just a smoke box with some pecan chunks. What did we get from this? You can create some incredible brisket on any machine, and if you really want to elevate the flavor, just use a smoke box with some real wood. It's easy to do, it's easy to maintain. If you need to refill it during the middle of the cook, it's not challenging to do so. With that said, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we got some more videos coming up here real soon. Thanks a lot.